The Importance of Know Thyself in Life of Today by Alan Lee Whiteman, August 2025. Warning: really huge changes in life are coming. Can you withstand the winds of change? If you know me, I harp constantly on the need for all to know thyself in all respects, but I focus on the core issues of past lives, birth natal chart, temperament biases, Enneagram type, and wing, NLP focus, birth ancestry, and the spiritual development of reincarnation. Now I admit, part of this focus is all about my personal religion, and my focus, being rather different than the vast collection of population on Earth, is all about past lives and reincarnation. Whether you like it or not, the underlying reality of the universe, consistent I posit with the standard model of particle physics, is that all entities have their beginning with source, and that source has a plan. And that plan centers about all or most having eventual reunion with itself as source. But the path from creation to reunification is fraught with diversion and likely dissolution for some. So, what is your path? There are some who posit that source has an ant farm in the front room, and we all are but instances of the ants. A universe-wide of ants. Some mature, some die, but a colony of ants survives regardless of what happens with any individual ant. Christian theology posits that God, whatever you consider that term to be, I am, or otherwise, is omnipotent and omniscient, essentially present everywhere, all-powerful and always listening. I do not buy into that theology. What I buy into is the idea that God, or Source, or I Am, has a super vast hierarchy of intermediaries being deities, angels, supporters in the light that descend from on high and collective and total represent what people call God. That total cohort is supported by an even vaster collection of loved ones passed on who assist in monitoring those living in the physical. The loved ones passed on tend to be nearer our daily experience of life, but we also have so-called teachers who devote their time in seeking to educate us descending in the physical about the true nature of life. Predestination in contrast to free will. Much is projected from the verbally fluent folk amongst us that free will does not exist in life and that all of our actions are predestined. Poppycock, but with a bit of explanation. We come into life with a to-do list of things to work on in our next incarnation. Much of that involves attempting to repair something that went wrong or became incomplete in some past life with a collection of people who by choice choose to incarnate with us. Turns out, the only way to work on a past life difficulty is to meet up with that other person, often confused with the term soulmate, and go about the maybe nasty or difficult process of recreating in some functionally equivalent form the problem or set of problems that existed in the past, often in a very distant past and not necessarily the previous incarnation. So, in a predestination sense, we agreed way in advance of birth into the physical to get into the muck of life with our soul mate, of which there may be serially several. Recreate in essence the nature of the past life unresolved issue at hand and see if we are now sufficiently spiritually advanced to be an adult and process what has happened or bail out knowing that there is likely, well maybe, an option to try again in some successive life. So, in this predestination sense, we had free will to make the arrangements, turn the crank of birth, incarnate, and start a new life, devoid of all the knowledge of what came before. New, fresh, and hopefully a bit more mature in spiritual development. So that when the shit hits the fan, we can be mature enough to deal with life's winds of change. We always have free will. Now, I recognize that many from the 12-step communities claim that family conditioning negates free will. There is truth in this posture. Abusive or neglectful parent or parents will drive people to behaviors that many in life detest. Still, we choose our parents, a life lesson that I have to teach over and over again. We cannot blame our parents for who we are. We all chose them and what they brought to us in life, so to blame them for how we turned out is bogus. This is a hard lesson to learn. Go cry or rant as needed. What is important as an adult in life is to know thyself in all respects and to work from that perspective. If we have a birth-driven bias in some respect, then it is up to us individually to know and come to terms with that bias and work with it as a gift. This may mean that we have to let others go their own way, kind of like the Fleetwood Mac number. My prophecy. Earth is a mess. Wars, fighting nearly everywhere, some people incessantly seeking to tell others how to live their life, what to think or not to think, what to say or not to say, who to listen to and who not to listen to. I do not seek to diminish the strength of the above in anyone's mind, but they are minor in relation to what is coming to Earth in the form of aliens who started a migration of their people here many hundreds of thousands of years ago. A migration that was interrupted by the fall of Atlantis. When they arrive and take possession of an area in the Red Sea where they once had operations, then all hell will break loose and the current-day issues of life's difficulties will seem minor in comparison. There is the possibility that the arrival of the alien Nephilim, progenitors of the biblical Nephilim, will institute a no-humans exclusion zone around the area where Atlantis once existed. That exclusion zone, perhaps in a radius of 1,000 miles, will force people who live there now to move elsewhere or die. And a mass population that moves out of force or fear tends to produce side effects of making life difficult for others not there. An exclusion zone also implies no international shipping through the Red Sea. The Nephilim, being substantially more technically advanced, do have the option of wiping out the entire population of humans on Earth as part of a start afresh effort. I do not expect them to do such, but then again, I might be wrong. How do you or your family prepare for this? Big winds of change are coming. Are you secure in yourself to withstand the changes? I posit the following. Know thyself as the foundation for being stable in the coming storms. Now, knowing who you are is no guarantee for survival, but in corollary form, I posit the following. Not knowing who you really are is a guarantee for not surviving. Background music, Wars of Faith on the Magnus album by Audio Machine, 2015. Video end screen for YouTube.